Most of the time, I think we all communicate pretty openly about that stuff, but I'm sure there could have been some things that I am unaware of that people are dealing with. Sure.
Yeah, because as an example, when you first had medical restrictions, you told Dane County managers that you didn't want the zoo managers to know that pregnancy was the medical reason for your restrictions. Fair?
Yes, true. I did not trust zoo management, and they tell
Right, but
people stuff that they shouldn't. So I didn't want the staff knowing because I was at risk of, I was considered geriatric and high risk pregnancy at my age, and I was concerned about, um, you know, publicly having a miscarriage. I didn't want staff to know.
sure. But generally, personal health information is considered some information that people have at, as far as their employees on a need to know basis. True?
I don't understand the question.
Well, generally, personal health information is considered confidential. Fair? Just as you did.
Yes.
Yes. And then, so if other zookeepers didn't think that you needed to know their personal health information, then you wouldn't necessarily know what kind of restrictions they had or why. True?
True.
But that's all something that the zoo has to consider, as far as their scheduling people throughout the zoo, correct?
True.
And would it be fair to say you don't know exactly what work preferences any other zoo keepers have expressed to zoo managers on a week-to-week basis?
Again, it's a small staff and we all communicate and we all work together. So in general, I think everyone is well aware of the preferences that keepers have. It's very common for zookeepers to have preferred animals that they want to work with. Um, like generally if you work the herpetarium, you oftentimes if your, specialty is reptiles, you oftentimes don't want to go work big cats. Those are two completely different animals and vice versa. So, like, I prefer to work with primates. That's what I like. That's what I like to do. So that is, that's a lot of people know that about me, but I'm also willing to work anywhere, and I've expressed that many times in the past.
Um, but would it be fair to say that you don't know all the scheduling considerations that may affect each zookeeper? For example, like if someone's on FMLA.
Sure.
Or if they have a workers' comp claim pending. True?
True.
And as a zookeeper, you don't make your own schedule each week, do you?
No, we do not make our own schedules. Managers make the schedules. We do
Right.
actually assist with reorganizing, so that actually could help you to understand if someone calls in sick. We do get together in the morning and try to help the manager reorganize the schedule. So that's another way of showing like we oftentimes do know if people have restrictions and what areas they can and cannot be in.
Sure, but isn't it true that the zoo managers post the schedules for all the zookeepers every 2 weeks?
True. But those get
Um,
changed pretty regularly.
okay, that was my
Okay.
question. That's the end of
Okay.
my question. Um, and uh, and the zoo managers are posting the schedules when you do not have medical restrictions. True.
Like they could post. I guess I'm not sure what you're
Well,
asking.
I'm just saying, on a given week that you personally don't have medical restrictions, it's still the zoo management's posting the biweekly schedule. True.
True.
And that's the same as when you have medical restrictions. The zookeepers are posting the biweekly schedule. True.
I mean, we send out a biweekly schedule in an email, but we have a paper schedule on the board that is changed to like almost daily because things come up.
Right.
People
But
ask.
my question was about when the schedule was posted, not about changes.
So
So
yes, they typically email out a schedule every other week.
And schedules are subject to change at the last minute because people do call in sick, true?
True.
And people do call in FMLA leave, true?
Yep, true.
Yeah. And sometimes an animal might be sick that a lead keeper in a certain area might need to be with that animal that day, true?
I would argue no, because especially at the time of my pregnancy, Laura Weiner was totally against feeling the need that a primary has to be in an area. If I am to fill in the green barn, I'm supposed to know how to care for every single one of those animals. So generally they do try to schedule like veterinary procedures when primaries are there, but we're regularly scheduling procedures when they're not there because, like you said, our schedule rotates. So we are off every other weekend, and we are off during the week as well. The vet only works Monday through Friday, and we also have specialty vets coming in. So no, primary doesn't need to be in their area for a sick animal or for a surgery.
It sounds like your testimony is that sometimes like scheduling of zookeepers request to work in a certain area is honored and sometimes it isn't, true? Just generally.
Sure, yeah.
But creating your schedule is not one of the terms and conditions of your employment as a zookeeper, true?
Yeah, I guess, like I said, we all kind of get together in the morning and help rearrange the schedule as needed, but the initial schedule that comes out in the email every other week is written by a manager.
You, I think it was Exhibit C21, you introduced and I believe were admitted the emails to Carrie Braxton, true? Like that's one of our exhibits, right? That you introduced.
Just a moment.
Okay. What was it? C21?
Yeah.
And that was admitted.
Oh, I'm sorry, I had the wrong number on that. Yep.
That was the baby shower.
I think it was C20. So you made complaints to Ms. Braxton, the Dane County Equal Employment Opportunity Manager, in late August 2022, correct?
Yep. I reached out to her.
That yes or no question. So
Yes.
Ms. Braxton concluded that there was no conduct motivated by animus to a protected class, true?
Well, this is what we discussed because the information she received from management was incorrect. So yes, she did say that there was no, she sided with
I'm just
management.
asking what her conclusion was. And the conclusion was that based on your complaints to her, there was no conduct motivated by animus to a protected class, true?
True.
And Ms. Braxton's investigation found that the zoo had to consider what was efficient for the department in assigning duties, true?
That is what she stated.
You testified that Judge Bailey Wren heard your concerns about pregnancy discrimination in the context of her preparation of a report for Dane County about the zoo, true?
True.
Are you the pregnant zookeeper referred to in her report?
Yes.
And is it true that her report in 2022 found, quote, no evidence of any disparate treatment based on sex, whistleblowing, disability, pregnancy, age, end quote, or any other category?
That is what she wrote, but that was not what, my case was not the primary focus of her investigation, so I don't know.
I just asked what the
Okay.
conclusion of the report was.
True.
That's all the questions I have.
All right. Ms. Bertrand, you can do redirect. So this is testimony based off the questioning from Attorney Mullen. If you feel like there's things you need to address, kind of in response, you can do so.
So, could you refresh my memory? Was it the report that Ms. Mullen referenced right there at the end? Was that the one that was he objected to on the grounds that it was irrelevant to this?
Which exhibit was that? Do you remember? C-25?
It was
Actually, yes. Yeah, I think it was.
I mean, that was my understanding of the questioning.
yeah,
Attorney Mullen.
C-25 was that final report,
Right.
which was not admitted into evidence, right?
Correct.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. However, she testified that she spoke to Judge Bailey Wren about her concerns.
Okay.
And
So I just wanted to clarify really quick. You were talking about getting trained Susan had mentioned that she'd worked twice solo in the herpetarium exhibit. Were you qualified to work there on the 26th when you were? So you asked to be
Yes.
there, and they put you over in the guest services,
Yes.
right? Okay.
I guess, yeah, this might be a question for Beth, but, the volunteer coordinator, is not the guest services coordinator. So Shannon Meyer and the zoo management will say that they needed me in guest services because the volunteer coordinator was on maternity leave when they already had an LTE to replace her, who was writing, the newsletter to the volunteers and filling in that manner. So her being on maternity leave had nothing to do with me being relocated to guest services because the volunteer coordinator doesn't work guest services. She
I'm
manages
just going
volunteers.
to object to
Okay.
this as hearsay because she doesn't have these people as witnesses to speak to this.
That's fine.
Yeah, I mean, it does kind of lack foundation for us, though, how she would know that. But I mean, I'll allow the testimony subject to that understanding. Go ahead.
Just one moment. Because I think
Yeah, I think that was mostly it, other than, you're saying that again, the need was for me and guest services, although, the guest services is a different department within the zoo. That's under the operations department. The, zookeepers are under the animal department. So it's not, to my knowledge, they've never asked a zookeeper to move over to fill an operations need. That's why we have LTEs that are easily hired within a short amount of time and trained for that purpose. So I think that's my only addition to that.
You guys had started to talk about that report. Are you addressing it any further, or is that it?
No.
No.
I mean, okay, 1 second.
no. Oh, go ahead.
I mean, okay, we're okay.
All right. Any other testimony on redirect? That's it.
That's it.
No.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, Attorney Mullen, and any recross?
No.
Yeah, great. All right. Well then, Ms. Bertrand, that's all that we need for your testimony. Thank
Okay.
you. You ready for your next witness?
Yes,
Is that Eric Anderson?
yes.
Do you need a few
We have
minutes
10 minutes
to get
to,
him
I'm sorry,
on?
what's that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
do
do
you
we
need a
have
few
10
minutes?
minutes to call him? Okay,
Sure. So we'll say 154.
okay,
Let me stop
thank
the
you.
recording.
Okay.
154.